This is my first night. Can I join you?
We were just about to start telling ghost stories.
Ooh, I like ghost stories.
Every year, 2 boys, John and David, would share a room at camp.
But this year would be different. When they arrived at summer camp, they noticed an extra bed had been put in their room.
The boys did not mind and thought it would be fun to have someone else to share with.
They got settled in and went onto the porch to line their favourite hammock as they did every year.
They would spend hours in the hammock, and for some reason, it always caught the wind and they would rock effortlessly.
It was so relaxing, they would often fall asleep and wake up in the morning.
2 days into the camp, one of the boys came out of the toilet to see a new boy unpacking on the 3rd bed. He was quite strange looking. He had long black greasy hair and way too many clothes for summer.
He introduced himself and beckoned the boy to come say hello to his friend David, who was as usual in the hammock.
The 2 boys went out onto the porch. "We have a new roommate," said John.
David waved back from the hammock. "Who's that?" said the boy. "Oh, that's my friend David." "No, not him. The old man who's pushing him is stroking his hair."
One rainy night, 2 very bored girls were alone in the old library, desperately trying to find something interesting to read. Digging deeper into a pile of dusty books, they came across a very old and frail book. The last pages literally crumpled away as they picked it up. Carefully, one of them slowly opened the cover. They were intrigued as the entire book was handwritten. They turned to the cover and the first page read, "These are the last words of Belladonna Mary, a tale of woe and sorrow." Both girls turned to each other excitedly as they turned over the page. In large letters it read, "Baby, Baby Blue." Underneath the title were a list of instructions. Number 1, steal a doll from a friend or foe. 2 eyes it must have, 2 arms and 10 toes. One of the girls ran off and returned moments later with the doll she had stolen. Number 2, find a mirror, clean and true. The girls ran to the corner of the library and sat in front of a large mirror. Number 3, hold your arms out and recite after me. Without mistake, 13 times you must make. Baby, baby blue. The girls began to say the words, baby, baby blue. Baby, baby blue, baby, baby blue, baby, baby blue. On the 13th time, the lights dimmed and cold air flowed over the girls. They could see something appearing in the mirror. Their arms were locked and unable to move. The dark image became closer and closer. It was Belladonna Mary. Her bulging, flaming eyes were staring right at the doll. Her head rocked from side to side, and with a toothless, gaping smile, she slowly holds out her arms. The girls cannot move. Their arms feel heavier and heavier. The doll is changing. Its head twists towards them, and its eyes begin to open. Its big, blue eyes.
This is so much fun. This might be the best summer camp ever.
It was the first day of camp. Sam hated summer camps. He always struggled to make friends and was bullied, even though posters were placed all over the camp stating bullying will not be tolerated.
This year was no exception. All the children allocated their spending money on a Monday, so every Monday, Sam would get ambushed and his money would get stolen by the same 2 boys.
They were quite brutal. The more you resisted, the more you got beaten up.
One Monday, Sam had waited until everyone had gone and went to the office to collect his spending money.
He thought he'd gotten away with it, but the 2 boys were waiting for him.
Deciding enough was enough, he ran into the staff quarters, but no one was there. So he decided to lock himself in the empty room.
Knock, knock. I'm not letting you in, Sam shouted. Go away. Knock, knock.
He looked through the peephole again. He could see both boys staring back at him. Go away, he said. Please! But the knocking did not stop.
Sam had decided to pay the boys. He pulled the spending money out of his pocket. If he could just open the door enough to pass through the money, maybe the boys would go and leave him alone.
Knock, knock. He quietly put on the safety chain, hoping it would hold fast if they barged their way in. I'm going to pay, he said. Knock, knock.
Once more, he looked at the people. The boys were still there, staring at him. Taking a deep breath, he unlocked the door and opened it slowly. Looking through the tiny opening, no one was there.
Had they gone, he thought? Knock, 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 knock. Now even louder, he rushed to the people. Both boys still staring at him. Knock, 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 knock.
Why are they doing this, he thought. Now the boys were knocking constantly. Knock, 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 knock.
He couldn't stand it any longer. He was decided to open the door, chuck the money, and run for it. He looked for the people one more time. The boys were still there.
Quietly, he undid the safety chain and unlocked the door. As soon as the door opened, the knocking stopped.
He looked through the opening. No one was there. Opening the door wider and wider, no one. He stepped into the doorway, looking down at the corridor, expecting to be ambushed.
He could feel something under his feet. A pile of money. His money. Looking back towards the door, he gasped. Taped to the door, underneath the people, was the heads of the two boys. A trail of bloody footprints led down the corridor.
On the floor, written in blood, were the words, "Bullying will not be tolerated."
I wonder if they ever came back to camp.
You all know the cornfield next to the lake. Well, this is the reason why the corn grows so big.
Many years ago, two boys would run wild through the fields with big sticks knocking off the corn as they ran. This soon became a daily occurrence as it was great fun.
The boys soon became bored and decided to turn their attention to the Scarecrow. To their amusement, every time they beat the straw out of it, it seemed to have been repaired and put back on its spike every day.
Day after day, they would dance stupidly around the Scarecrow, making up rude names and spitting at it, pulling out its stitching and drawing funny crud faces on its sackcloth head.
Running out of ideas, one of the boys pulled a box of matches out of his pocket. Egged on by the other, he struck a match and waved it and taunted it in front of the Scarecrow's face.
But he had waited too long, and the match was burning his fingers, so he dropped it on the floor.
The ground went up in flames. Scared, they ran and ran and ran, but whichever direction they turned, there seemed to be flames in front of them.
Somehow they got separated. Now panicking, one of the boys screamed out. The other friend screamed back from the distance, so he decided to run his direction.
As he got closer, the fire seemed to no longer be in front of him. In fact, it was almost out, though he could still hear the muffled scream of his friend nearby.
Falling through the corn, he landed at the base of a large wooden pole. He looked up. His friend was tied to the pole, his clothes torn, and his mouth sewn shut with thick cotton.
He looked at his friend's eyes, which suddenly bulged with horror, causing him to look around. Stood behind was the Scarecrow, with needle and thread in his blooded hands.
To this day, if you look into the cornfield, you'll find not one, but 3 scarecrows standing there. And that is why the corn grows so big.
I would never go to a cornfield myself.
It's Django, isn't it? Yeah. Why are you sitting in the dark all by yourself? Come on, let's go.